Tony Abbott has been highly critical of Labor this week when it comes to house prices. He said in Parliament, do not trust this man, that being Bill Shorten, with your house price, and the value of your house price will go down under Labor. How can the Prime Minister possibly justify those claims?
Well, there was a very heated political argument this week where the Labor Party essentially tried to make a lot of noise around the Prime Minister suggesting that over time, if house prices appreciate, that is a good thing for people who own those houses. And we know that most Australians hold.
I think they were responding to the head of the Treasury saying that there was a bubble in housing prices in Sydney.
That's right. I mean, the Secretary of the Department did say that, and that is true. There is a housing bubble in Sydney. I don't think people can deny that, and to an extent in Melbourne. I do think that there was a lot of, again, political noise created around...
Really, because the Prime Minister and the Treasurer haven't endorsed those comments.
Well, I'm happy to endorse the fact that there is a housing bubble in Sydney and Melbourne. I think that is true. People can see that. But what the Prime Minister said, and this is the key point, he simply stated a fact, a reality, that if you own a home and that house appreciates over time, that is a good thing for you, because ultimately you'd like to sell that house for more than your repayments left on your mortgage or your mortgage that you took out. So I don't think that's the most controversial political statement to say.
But it is controversial to say that Labor would force prices down. I mean, if prices were moderated or the increase in prices were to be moderated, that would be, I think, a good thing if you believe there's a bubble. How do you back up the claim that prices would actually fall under Labor?
Well, as I said, that was a very heated debate in the Parliament, and the essential point that the Prime Minister was making was the one that I made. But I would just say...
So hang on, you're saying it's a heated debate. Is that a way of saying that we shouldn't take it as an absolute truth?
I do think you can take context out of things as well. And if the Prime Minister is responding to a person who says that it's a terrible thing that your house is appreciated and when you sell it you're going to get some money back, I mean, I don't think that's the most...
Did Bill Shorten actually say that?
Well, that was the political case that they were trying to make. That was very clear for anyone that sat in the Parliament throughout that week. But I would just make one other point. I do think if the Labor Party was elected, you would see higher taxes, you would see a slowdown in demand, you would see that economic growth slow up, and ultimately I do think that would lead to a slower appreciation in house prices.
But that's not what the Prime Minister is saying. The Prime Minister isn't saying there'd be a slower appreciation in house prices. He's saying the value of your property would go down.
Well, I didn't take that from the debate. I said that...
That's a verbatim quote, all pretty close.
I saw the Prime Minister responding to Bill Shorten making a claim that it's a terrible thing that the house that you own, that price appreciates over time. So, that's where that political debate went. I thought it was a bit weird that the Labor Party were pushing that line for as long and as hard as they could, because ultimately, as I said, most Australians, their wealth sits in mortar and bricks. And they would like to see that appreciate over time. Now, in Sydney and Melbourne, as I said, there is a significant up push or bubble there, and that makes it harder for young people to get into the housing market. But to simply say that appreciating house prices is not a good thing, I think Bill saw that he overreached a little bit, and the political debate got very messy around that.
You don't think perhaps the Prime Minister, in the heat of parliamentary debate, overreached too by saying that prices would actually go down under Labor?
No, I don't, because as I said, I mean, in real terms, you could argue that. I mean, I would say that if the Labor Party was elected, you'd see slower economic growth because of their approach to economic management, in which case slower appreciation of your housing prices. So I think that it is reasonable enough to say that under Labor, your house could very well be worth less than under a coalition government.